In this video, we're going to talk about how to measure the output of a constant current LED driver like we have here. Now, the reason you might need to measure the output current for one of these drivers is if the label has been damaged or scratched off on a driver and you're not sure what the output current is. Or in some cases, you may have a programmable LED driver in your fixture, but maybe the output settings for that driver weren't noted on the label itself, or you're not quite sure. The tool that we'll be using today is a multimeter. Now, it's important to make sure that your multimeter will measure DC amperage and that it's a quality multimeter that will measure that amperage up to 3 decimal places. There are some meters on the market that either won't measure amperage or will only measure AC amperage, so this is very important to keep in mind. And 3 decimal places is important for getting an accurate reading of the output of the driver, so that when you're going to find a replacement, you can get the right settings and make sure that you feel confident in the new driver that you're putting in the fixture. We'll also be using Wago Lever Lock wire connectors to connect our meter into the fixture so that we can do that in a safe way. These are super easy to use, and if you haven't used them before, we definitely encourage that. If you're looking for the wire connectors or the meter we're using today, we'll include a link in the description below. Let's get started on testing this LED driver. The first thing we want to do is power off our fixture, and then we're going to connect our meter in series with the wiring inside the fixture. Now we'll take the red lead from the multimeter and connect it to the output of the driver. And then we'll take the black lead from the multimeter and we'll connect that to complete the circuit with the wire going to the LED board itself. We also want to look at our meter and make sure that we are in DC mode. So we're measuring amperage right now, but I need to change this to DC mode. And now we're ready to turn on the fixture. Now that we've turned on the fixture, we can see that we're measuring 1.364 amps or 1364 milliamps coming out of the driver. Now this tells us what setting we need to look for a new replacement driver, or if we're replacing this with a programmable driver, this tells us how we need to program the milliamp output for the new driver to make sure that this fixture can operate properly. One more important note as you're measuring the output of these LED drivers is the difference between the milliamp and amperage setting on your multimeter. Most multimeters on the milliamp setting will list a maximum amperage that it can read, and most are also fused. So in this case, our meter is fused at 800 milliamps, and if we had connected this on the milliamp setting, we might have blown the fuse in our meter. So it's recommended to use the amperage setting, and that's also why we need 3 decimal places to accurately measure the current output from this driver. I hope this video on how to measure the output current on your constant current LED driver was helpful. If you ever need help finding a replacement driver, our team is here to help. And we also have an LED driver wizard. We'll put the link to that in the description below that might help finding that replacement a little bit easier.